Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We have with us this evening His Grace Vrindavan Prabhu. It's our great fortune to be able to hear from him this evening. He's going to talk a little about the holy name, so I'm very anxious to hear from him. Prabhu, I assume you're going to structure the class somewhat like a normal pravachan, like give a kata and then open for questions at the end.
Yeah.
Hi, Prabhu, when you're ready.
Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Maum Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunivari Paschati Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome to this lecture. Thank you for joining us. So today I would like to talk about a particular conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and one of his dear associates. Very interesting conversation, very important conversation for us as devotees aspiring to chant the holy name, you could say, aspiring to really chant the holy name, because you can chant the holy name, but there's a level of chanting where you're chanting syllables. There's a level of chanting where you're chanting the shadow of the name, and then there's a level of chanting where you're actually chanting the name. And this is all going to be explained. So one day in Jagannath Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took bath in the ocean, and when he came out, he went to go see Haridas Thakur at Siddhabokul, where Haridas Thakur was chanting his 3 lakhs of names. And he requested Haridas Thakur to speak Nam Tattva, to speak the glories and the truth of the holy name for the benefit of all fallen conditioned souls of Kali Yuga like us. And of course, Haridas Thakur was so humble. He fell at Lord Chaitanya's feet and was saying, I don't know why you've picked me. I'm so unqualified. You could have gotten someone better for the job. But, out of humility, he was expressing this. But since you have instructed me to do this, I can't deny, I can't disobey your order. So I'll try my best. So along the way, Mahaprabhu asks him about certain things regarding the holy name, and Haridas Thakur replies. So basically, he starts out with describing the 3 main energies of the Lord, the 3 main categories of potencies, the Chit Shakti, Chid Vaibhav, as he calls it, the Achid Vaibhav, Achit Shakti, the material energy, external energy, and the Jiva Vaibhav, or the marginal potency, the living entities like us. And he goes on to explain, the basic relationship between these three, this pyramid: Chit Shakti, Achit Shakti, and Jiva Shakti. And basically all that good stuff that we learn in Bhagavad Gita, he explains that it's the Chit Shakti, the Chid Vaibhav, the internal Antaranga Shakti of the Lord, which manifests. And by the way, there are three different categories of that Antaranga Shakti. There's the Samvit Shakti, Hladini Shakti, and Sandini Shakti. So the Hladini, there's Sat, Chit, and Ananda, three modes. Just like we have the three modes of material nature, there's the three modes of spiritual nature, so to speak. So just like here we have goodness, passion, and ignorance, there you have eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So the Shakti of eternity, eternal existence, that's the Sandini Shakti. So that, particularly that Shakti, manifests the holy Dham, such as Sri Vrindavan Dham and Krishna's paraphernalia. So Lord Balaram is directing that Sandini Shakti. And the Samvit Shakti is the actual Shakti of knowledge, the Chit. Sat is Sandini, Chit is Samvit, and Hladini is Ananda, the Ananda Shakti, the pleasure potency. So that's directed by Srimati Radharani herself. She is the personification of Hladini Shakti, as well as her expansions, the gopis, Sakis, and so on. So basically, Haridas Thakur explains all of this. He explains that the Chid Vaibhav manifests Krishna's names, forms, qualities, pastimes, and abode. These 5 things. These all are manifested by the Chit Shakti, Chid Vaibhav. And then there's the Achid Vaibhav. The Achid Vaibhav manifests the entire material creation, made up of 5 gross elements and 3 subtle elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then mind, intelligence, and false ego. And that's also known as Devi Dham. So the external energy manifests Devi Dham. Then there's the marginal potency in between the two, the Jiva Shakti, that's us, which can be influenced by either one. When the living entity, he of course describes 2 categories of living entities within this Jiva Vaibhav. There's Baddha and Mukta. So the Baddha Jivas are the ones who turn their face away from Krishna. They turn their attention away from the Lord and desire to enjoy separately. And they're the ones who are put into this whole trap of the Achid Vaibhav, or material energy, which is very difficult to get out of. And the ones who are Mukta, the ones who are liberated, they're the ones who are situated in their constitutional position. Along the way, Mahaprabhu is asking about these things step by step. He says, please explain the relationship between the jiva and the material energy, and the jiva and the Lord. And Haridas Thakur explains step by step, systematically. And then Haridas Thakur concludes that for the jivas that are trapped within the Achid Vaibhav, or this material world. Someone's driving. Hare Krishna. Okay. I see you in the. I don't see anybody else somehow. Okay, they're there. So it's a very difficult situation to be trapped in this material world. It's dukhalayam, right? Dukhalayam. Alaya means like a place where you get something. Like in India, you'll see Vastralaya, Bhojanalaya, like Bhojanalaya is a place where you get something to eat, Bhojan. Vastralaya is a place where you get clothes. Vastra is clothes, cloth, like that. And this place is Dukha Alaya, Dukhalaya. So Dukha means misery, right? Unhappiness. So this is Dukhalayam. And we're trapped in this. Living entities have completely forgotten their eternal position. Completely. They have no aim. They have an aim, but it's not the ultimate aim. They keep on, it's kind of like hitting a brick wall. And then, just moving through all these different species, 8,400,000 species of life. It's just this like endless cycle of suffering, samsara, birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. Birth, death with old age and disease, disease and old age in between. So they're just caught up in this samsara cycle. But there's a way to get out of it. And he points out that the way to get out of this, the way that the Bada Jivas that are trapped within this whole prison of the Achid Vaibhav, Devi Dham, the way that they can get out of it is by taking shelter of the Chid Vaibhav, the Chit potency of the Lord. And primarily through Nam, through the holy name. So the holy name mercifully descends in this world for the jivas to take shelter of the holy name. And this is how they can gradually get out of it. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks him about the 3 levels of chanting the holy name. And there's also some discussion about Mayavad. What is the fate of a Mayavadi that chants the holy name? So all of this is explained next. Haridas Thakur goes on to explain, interestingly, first he explains Namabhas, then he explains the aparads. He one by one explains the 10 Das Nama Aparad. But first he describes what Namabhas is. So as most of you might know by now, there are 3 levels of chanting, as Srila Prabhupada and our Acharyas have mentioned many times. There's the offensive stage, Nam Aparad, then there's the clearing stage, Namabhas, then there's the pure stage, Shuddha Nam. So Haridas Thakur explains, and by the way, this is all being manifested to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he compiled this in a book called Harinaam Chintamani. These great acharyas, they would sometimes get these revelations. They would get this darshan of something that had happened in the past, some Leela. So even though this is not recorded anywhere else, it's written down by Bhaktivinoda Thakur because it was manifested to him in his meditation, in his samadhi. So Haridas Thakur starts explaining that there are two main types of Nam Abhas. Abhas means a shadow or a dim reflection, a semblance, you could say, semblance. Abhas is a semblance, so semblance of the name. That's Nam Abhas. And there are two main types. One is called Pratibimba, the other is called Chaya. The Chaya means actual, like, shadow, right? Or it's also referred to as like an obstructed light. When you have a light, like a light bulb or chandelier or the sun, and it's being covered by something, you get some effect of that light or the sun. You can still perceive of it. You can perceive of its heat and its, the glow, that light that it's generating, but not 100%, not completely. But then it's also not completely dark. So it's somewhere halfway in between. Now with Pratibimba, that's Chaya. Pratibimba is like a distorted reflection. Like, for example, if you see a tree reflected in water, or if you see a fruit on a tree reflected in water, and you try to, the Pratibimba is that reflection in the water. It's not the actual thing. It's in the opposite direction, and it's like this distorted reflection. So when you try to jump in the water to get that fruit hanging on the tree, you're not going to get the fruit. You'll land in the water. You're going the opposite direction, so you'll never get the fruit. So that's Pratibimba Namabhas. And he explains that that's the chanting done by offensive Mayavadis. Mayavadis, those who consider that the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord are temporary, like Krishna manifests in this world, just to, display his pastimes, and then that's it. His form, his name, his qualities, his abode are all products of the illusory material energy. And once he winds up his pastimes, that's it. He just merges back into the Brahman, which is totally false. So those who consider this as a fact, as a reality, they chant Pratibimba Namabhas, which is actually an offense. Pratibimba Namabhas is not real Namabhas. It's an offense. So Mayavadis chant in that way. And there's an explanation there by Haridas Thakur that there's no way that the Mayavadi can ever attain perfection by this. Also, those who want to exploit the holy name for their own purposes, aggrandizement, they're the ones who are chanting Pratibimba Namabhas also. They and the Mayavadis. So they're not really like, sadhakas following in a proper Vaishnav line. Sadhakas who take up the chanting of the holy name on the direction of a bona fide spiritual master, who still have anarthas and ignorance within their heart, when they take up the chanting of the holy name with faith, even with a dim amount of faith, they are chanting what's called Chayanamabhas. And that's also known as Shraddhanamabhas. And even this Chayanamabhas, Shraddhanamabhas, has two divisions. There are two divisions of that also. So the two divisions of real Namabhas are known as Shraddha and Hela. So in Hela, there are four different categories, and those are mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 2, text 14, in the section dealing with Ajamil, when Ajamil was being taken by the Yamadutas, they were trying to take him, but the Vishnu Dutas saved him. So why that happened was because he chanted Sanketya Namabhas. So within this lower category, this Hela category, there are four types. Sanketyam, Parihasyam, Vas, Tobam, Helanam, Evava. Those are the first two lines of that verse, 6-14, Srimad Bhagavatam. Sanketya means chanting the holy name of the Lord, but referring to a different person or object. Like, for example, Ajamil, he had a son named Narayan. So he called his son, he was calling for his son, but actually chanting the name Narayan. So he got immense benefit from that. Now, also objects. It doesn't have to be just a person, but objects. Like, for example, my father-in-law, Guru Krishna Prabhu, he has this, he designed this toy called Rocket Rama, and he sells it on the street in San Diego. He named it Rocket Rama so that people would be chanting the holy name. They see it, oh, Rama, Rocket Rama. So they're referring to this toy, but they're actually chanting the holy name, but not referring to Ram. They're referring to the toy, but they're still chanting the holy name. Like this. Sanketya, Parihasya. Parihasya is the next one. Parihasya means when one chants the holy name of the Lord in a joking way. Jokingly. Like when we're doing harinaam sankirtan, sometimes you'll see people are passing by, be a little bit drunk or anything else, whatever else, they may have taken some other type of intoxication, or maybe not. But in any case, they see us and they start joking around, and they try to chant with us. They try to chant the mantra. Of course, they don't know the mantra, so they say, Krishna, Krishna, Hare, Hare, Rama, 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 whatever. And they're chanting, but in a joking mood, in a joking way. Like as an innocent person is just, joking around. So like that. And then there's Stoba. So Stoba is a little more serious. When one chants the holy name of the Lord mockingly, like to mock others, to mock the Lord. And that's also categorized as for musical entertainment, when one chants the holy name for musical entertainment. And then the last category is called Hela. The section is called Hela, but this one type is also called Hela. Sanketyam Parihasyam Vastobam Helanam Evava. Hela. So Hela is considered to be the most offensive and most serious of all of them. That's chanting with contempt, contemptfully, just like demons as they chanted the name of Krishna. They called out to Krishna as well, but out of anger. Shishupal, Kamsa, and so on, like that. So then, on the request of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur is explaining all of this, and he also goes on to explain that actually these four types of lower namabhas, they, because they're done without faith, they're chanted without faith, they ultimately lead to offensive chanting, namaparad. So it's like a very faint type of namabhas. Already namabhas is like a semblance, or the tejas of nam, you could say, a semblance of the holy name. It's like the obstructed light of the holy name. And then this lower category is even lighter, it's even thinner. Now the real namabhas is Shraddha namabhas, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur also explains. He gives his commentary there. What he does is he explains the story and how the conversation went, and then he also gives some commentary, some footnotes. So he explains that when the sadhaka takes up the chanting of the holy name with faith, even though he's still plagued with anarthas and ignorance, that is in the mode of Shraddha Namabhas. So that's the higher division of Namabhas. And that ultimately leads to Shuddhanam, the perfectional stage of chanting, when the holy name completely manifests. But because these anarthas, different various anarthas and avidya are present within the heart of the sadhaka, the holy name's full manifestation, full power does not appear to him, to the sadhaka, because of this. It's considered to be like when a person is on the earth underneath the clouds. So in that kind of situation, let's say we're standing here on this earth, and you look up at the sky and it's cloudy during the daytime. Now you may see the sun, but there's a limited amount of heat and light, that effect of the sun that you'll get, until the sun has dispersed the clouds. Then you'll get the full effect. Then you get full on, full power, full sunlight, full heat. So what are these clouds? Actually, there's two things he mentions: clouds and mist. So mist is a lot lighter. It's dissipated easier, quicker. Clouds are a lot more thick, So there's the mist of ignorance, mist of avidya, and the clouds of anarthas. The mist of ignorance are of four types. Avidya, ignorance, means, obviously not knowing. So tattva vibrama, it's actually called tattva vibrama. Tattva means spiritual truth, and vibrama means ignorance of, basically. So ignorance of four different things. Ignorance of the position of the Lord, Krishna tattva, vibrama. Ignorance of the jiva, like what's our deal, as explained earlier in the book, jiva tattva. Also the material energy, what's its purpose, like that. And sadhana sadhya tattva vibrama. How does the jiva get out of it? By performing sadhana, and what's the goal? What's the goal of life? Like that. So ignorance of these four things are considered to be the mist of ignorance that covers the jiva from receiving the full effect of the holy name. And it's to be understood that it's not that the holy name is covered. The holy name is never contaminated, because after all, nama chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Bhinatvam Nama Namino. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. Right? Nama Chintamani. Chintamani means touchstone. So this name is, like a touchstone. It fulfills all desires, material or spiritual. And then Chaitanya. Chaitanya means this is not referring to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the actual word, Sanskrit word Chaitanya, which means full of life. It is full of life. It is Chaitanya. Actually, in both ways, it is Chaitanya. We'll explain that a little later. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. It is the embodiment of all rasa, all mellows. Purna Shuddho. It is completely pure. It is complete, Purna, and Shuddha also. It is completely complete, and pure. Nitya Mukta means that it is eternally liberated and never under the clutches of the material energy. It's never materially contaminated. Bhinatvam namanamina. Abhinatvam means that it is non-different from the Lord, non-different from Krishna himself. The name Krishna and the person Krishna are non-different. Nama and Nami. Bhinatvam nama namino. Nama and Nami are non-different. So the holy name is never actually contaminated, never actually covered by anything. It is us, it is the jiva that is covered by these clouds of anarthas and mist of ignorance. So these four types of mist of ignorance, which I explained, they're quite easily dissipated simply by hearing from authoritative personalities in our parampara who have learned these tattvas properly, simply by reading our scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. These things can very easily be learned. So that's much less of a problem in one sense. The thicker things are the clouds of anarthas, and those are of three types, three major categories. The first category is called asat trishna. So asat means that which is temporary, or not sat. Sat means eternal. So that which is non-permanent. So any type of object in this material world, so-called enjoyable object, that which is temporary. Trishna means thirst. So the thirst to enjoy temporary material objects. That is asat trishna. So that is one major category of anartha. It covers the holy name, it covers us from the holy name. Then there's Hriday Dorbalya, that's another major category of anarthas. And Hriday Dorbalya is a little more subtle. Asat Trishna is maybe a little more gross, desire for gross sense enjoyment. Right? And then Hriday Dorbalya is weakness of the heart. That's what it means. It's more subtle. Harder to notice, maybe. usually, to a certain extent. So that's like, the desire for prestige, desire for name and fame, desire for also being envious of others' progress, other devotees' progress, like that. So these type of things, deceitfulness, being deceitful, cheating, when the cheating propensity comes out. So then the third major category is called aparad. Obviously, we have 10 nam aparads. And also jiva aparad, any offense to living entities. Seva aparad, there are many offenses, 64 different offenses in relation to the deity, mentioned in Nectar of Devotion and also in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Vaishnav, obviously, the most severe Vaishnav aparad. You can also add Dham aparad to that list. So there's, 4 or 5 different categories of aparad within that category of aparad. So there's 3 of those. So it'd be nice if we had a whole presentation. Maybe in the future, I'll sometimes when I'm in different places, I write everything on a board, a whiteboard, so everyone can see all these things, these technicalities. So maybe we can have one digitally, kind of presented, to show people in the future. Yeah, sorry. All right. So what I was explaining was, we have these 3 major categories, and that last one that I was explaining is aparad. So when we commit offenses, the reaction to those offenses, that counts as these little clouds that cover the sun of the holy name from penetrating to us. But ultimately, it's the holy name itself, the sadhana of the holy name, that clears these things. So it goes hand in hand. We have to chant in the right way, with the right mood and the right intention, pure intent, while avoiding offenses. And if we do that, then these clouds and mist, clouds of anarthas and mist of ignorance, they dissipate gradually. And this also goes hand in hand with serving a bona fide spiritual master also. So, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked in this part of the conversation, he asked Haridas Thakur, well, how do we raise ourselves from chanting Namaparad to chanting without offenses, and how do we raise from Nam Abhas to Sham, and particularly for raising ourselves from Namabhas to Shuddhanam, he says that we should approach a bona fide spiritual master, get Sambandha Gyan from him, serve him nicely, and chant the holy name under his direction. And then we can hopefully quickly come to the Shuddhanam platform, where the holy name condescends and dances on our tongue. And then next, Mahaprabhu asks about the offenses, and Haridas Thakur explains each one by one. He explains that the first offense, as we all know, is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives to the propagation of the holy name of the Lord, also known as sadhu ninda. So then he explains who is a sadhu, who is a Vaishnava, who is a Vaishnava, who is a sadhu. So a sadhu is one who practices Sharanagati, or one who is completely surrendered to the Lord. So to the degree that one is surrendered to the Supreme Lord, to that extent, he is a sadhu, like that. And then considering names of demigods such as Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the holy name of Lord Vishnu. So one must understand that the holy name of Krishna is supreme and is not material, completely immaterial. The other demigods, their names are ultimately material, but Vishnu's name, Krishna's name, is completely spiritual. The demigods, their forms, qualities, activities, all these things change, except for Lord Shiva is eternally situated in Mahesh Dham, Sadashiva. But it explains in Laghu Bhagavatamrita by Rupa Goswami that sometimes the Lord himself has to become Brahma, and Lord Shiva also. I mean, sometimes a Jiva acts as Lord Shiva according to the situation in different universes, according to the need of the hour, like that. So it's not so clean cut. We know for sure that Lord Vishnu's name is absolutely pure, absolutely spiritual, Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto, like that. So there's a difference. We shouldn't consider the names of demigods to be equal to or independent of the holy name. Then Guru Ninda, Guru Ravagya, offending, criticizing, or disobeying the orders of the spiritual master, considering him an ordinary person, and so on. There's a whole list. I'm sure all of you know this already, so maybe we won't go too deep into that. But down the list, an important one that he talks about is inattention while chanting. So you'll find in chapter 12 of Harinaam Chintamani, Haridas Thakur is explaining this offense known as pramad. He calls it pramad, which means like complete madness. So pramad is inattention while chanting the holy name of the Lord, not being attentive. When you're in front of a very high class person, someone that's very famous that you adore, someone that has great opulence and fame, power, generally, we don't just not pay attention to them. If a personality who is very beautiful, very wealthy, very famous, very renounced, maybe, very powerful, very educated, person who had these opulences, if they stood in front of us, we wouldn't ignore them. But somehow when the holy name is being recited in front of us, even by ourselves, sometimes we don't like to pay attention. Our mind drifts off. But actually, Bhagavan means one who is full with six opulences. These six opulences, all beauty, all wealth, all renunciation, all knowledge, all fame, and all power. That is Bhagavan, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And the holy name is full with these six opulences. So we shouldn't, neglect the holy name. And if we do, then that's actually the root cause of all other offenses. So this is explained by Sri Haridas Thakur, that this is the root cause. The other offenses can be eradicated by chanting attentively, by taking care of this offense. But if one commits this offense, then all the other offenses ultimately manifest. That's the root cause. And there are three types of inattention that he talks about. One of them is audasinya, or indifference, being indifferent. And there's jadya, laziness. And then there's vikshepa, which is restlessness of the mind. So either you're just indifferent, not enthusiastic about chanting, not really putting your heart into it. This manifests in kirtan also. When we're chanting our nam japa and doing nam kirtan, both types of nam bhajan, these things can manifest, and they should be avoided. Audasinya. Sometimes when we're in kirtan, we don't get into it. We're just indifferent, Like Ayendra Prabhu would say, don't just sit there like a bump on the log. Do something. And then laziness, jadya, means I don't want to chant, I don't want to do kirtan, I don't want to chant my japa. Slow to start, like that. And then vikshepa is restlessness of the mind. Once we actually do start chanting, then we just get restless, because of the desire for material enjoyment. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives some practical advice regarding this. Basically, he says that one should chant the holy name of the Lord in the association of other devotees. That's one good thing to do. Near Tulsi, one can chant his japa, especially near Tulsi Maharani. He can also cover his face and head with a cloth and chant japa like that, because that kind of prevents the senses from wandering on different objects around. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually says this. This is a practical way of helping our attention span. And he also says that particularly for the last offense of vikshepa, restlessness of the mind, he says that following Ekadashi and performing different austerities like this, like following Ekadashi, observing various festivals, appearance days of the Lord, like this, these things help to calm the restlessness of the mind, so one can focus better. So he explains all of this. I think I'll stop here. 6 o'clock. Does anyone have any questions?
Prabhu, where does Nam Akshara, the syllable of the holy name, where does that fall in the three categories of Namaparad, Namabas?
Yeah, that's a good question. So my understanding is that Namakshara means Pratibimba Namabas. When the person is simply just chanting syllable, the holy name's not really there. Because if the name was there, it would help you to progress. But Pratibimba means the opposite direction. You're moving away from the actual object. So Nam Akshara Nam Nahi, right?
Thanks, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for this class. I just had one question actually. It is I found this very helpful, especially the last part about how Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about tips to overcome inattentive chanting, practical ones also. There in Bhagavatam, I remember reading from shloka somewhere, and I'm unable to locate it actually. That is, one cannot be pure in one's speech and mind. Like ultimately, it comes down to being pure in our habits, basically, and then we are able to be pure in chanting.
Mm.
Like, do you remember that shloka? Like, I find it a little helpful also. Like,
Right. Yeah. I know which one you're talking about,
hmm.
but I'm also just like same as yourself. I don't remember exactly where I read it, but it's there somewhere. But yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it comes somewhere in second canto. I thought, but like I was unable to locate it, so I thought if you'd know about
Right.
that, or if you had that.
We'll have to ask some great pundit,
Mhm.
can locate these things. Or with a little more searching, it'll come up. Search the database. Keep searching different words. It'll come.
Yeah, I will try that. It's very helpful to
Right.
be proper in habits to be able to chant the names of the Lord properly.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dana Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I have two questions. So, one, you're saying we should chant before Tulsi, and we should cover our head. So, are they both together, or these are two different things?
See, Bhaktivinoda Thakur he's giving some tips, how we can eradicate this offense of inattentive chanting. So you can try a combination of these, or you can try, each one separately, whatever works for you.
Okay. My second question is, so what about the devotees who
You're
are
not
waiting?
seeing Tulsi. I mean, the spiritual vibration is there,
Okay. My second question is regarding the devotees who are waiting to get initiated. So, what happens? Like we usually the initiation takes time, and we start chanting. So, what happens to that chanting? Because anyways, there are so many aparats, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it depends. A person who gets initiated, see, initiation means, Harinam initiation means the Guru is giving you the Mahamantra, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He's giving you the holy name. So now that you have the holy name, how you approach the holy name is up to you. A person may be initiated, he may have received initiation, but over the span of 10, 20, 30 years, he may not actually, develop affection for the holy name because of offenses that are being committed. So that really depends, and someone else may receive the name and make rapid advancement because of the lack of offenses.
Okay.
That really depends on on how you apply the process.
Yeah, because you mentioned that we should serve the spiritual, we should approach a spiritual master and then chant in a proper way. So we are
Right.
not.
Serve the
But,
guru, serve the genuine
yeah.
guru with faith.
So in
But
my case, I'm not initiated yet, right? So I didn't find my spiritual master yet. So
right.
what happens to my chanting? Like,
so then you serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. We have a guru parampara. So even though you may not have selected a Diksha guru, there are also different categories of gurus, different types of gurus. It's not only about the Diksha guru, also that you have Shiksha gurus. You must have some Shiksha guru, right?
yeah.
There's also a Bhartma Pradarshak guru, one who shows you the path, brings you on the path of bhakti. That is one type of guru. Then there are different devotees who give instructions along the way, how to chant, how to approach the Lord, how to worship the deity, how to study Shastra, like this, different devotees who give different advice. So one can have many Shiksha gurus. So you choose a devotee who's cultivating you and serve him nicely. And then your Diksha guru also. And we also have Srila Prabhupada is the preeminent Shiksha guru of this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So he's also our guru. He's our param guru because we are disciples of his disciples. Nowadays, many are great grand disciples, but most of us are grand disciples at this point of the generation. Most of us are grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So he's also our guru, and especially him being in that position as the founder acharya of this movement that we are in. So, whatever instructions he gave, you follow that, try to serve his mission, further his mission. So this also counts as Guru Seva, as taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and serving him. You can serve Srila Prabhupada, even if you're not initiated.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Many things you can do to serve Srila Prabhupada. Distributing his books also, that's another way. Spreading the holy name of the Lord, just as he did. Many things. So serve Srila Prabhupada's mission.
Thank
It
you very
doesn't
much.
necessarily mean, that you have to be your Diksha Guru's personal servant. Not necessarily. There's a wide range, There's so many services we can do. But there are also many different categories of gurus also.
Makes sense, sir. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Any questions about the subject matter? The technicalities that we went over?
Prabhu, is it possible to share the things that you're saying, like in a pictorial presentation or something, like different levels of aparadha?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was mentioning earlier, is that it'd be nice to have something, some kind of, I need some kind of, PowerPoint thing set up. Bhanu Maharaj, His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj has something, but I kind of presented in a little bit of a different way. I might be able, he gave me his PowerPoints, but I would maybe do it in a slightly different style. So it would be nice to make something.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm also not so technological. So, okay. Anyone else?
Thanks for your time, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad pranams.
Dandavad.
Hari Hari.
Thank you, Srila Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Vanchakalpatrubhyascha